Today, in this episode of Amazing Africa on this platform, Zawe Moments, we look at the amazing native science, the amazing native knowledge of the Baganda people of Central Uganda in Africa, and how they can tell certain occurrences by the appearance or disappearance of the moon. We are talking about when a new moon comes or when full moon comes. That's the period that we are going to consider mostly. The Baganda believe that the moon, that moon in the sky, controls what goes inside our bodies, outside our bodies, and the entire environment in which we live. The Baganda have different terms for different stages of the moon. A new moon is called okuboneka, and a full moon leads to okuzikiza. But a day or two before new moon and a day or two after new moon, the period of 3 or 4 days, that's what I'm talking about, and a day or two before full moon and a day or two after full moon, I'm talking about that period of 3 to 4 days. That period is called Amasumi. And Amasumi is very important in the lives of the Baganda people. They use their knowledge of this period to predict certain occurrences. Part of the importance of the knowledge of this Amasumi period was that the Baganda people used to know when a woman is likely to conceive, because it's this period of Amasumi when there is a new moon, or when the moon has turned into full moon and is about to be waning. That period is the period when the Baganda knew that a woman will be expecting her periods, meaning that a few days before that woman could have conceived. And there is always a question that is asked about a woman who is still experiencing menstrual periods. The question is always, have you seen the moon? When they ask, have you seen the moon? It means, have you experienced your periods? Therefore, a woman who wants to get pregnant by experiencing periods means that she failed to get pregnant during that period. However, for a young girl, if she does not see her moon, we are talking about her menstrual period, during the Amasumi period, especially if this young girl is still under the care of her parents, this is something to worry about, because it may mean that she got pregnant, and this is something that no parent, no guardian, no young girl would have liked to happen before she gets married. But also, the appearance of a new moon or the presence of a moon was used as a method of family planning, because it indicated when a woman could avoid getting pregnant, or when a woman could use this period to get pregnant. And if a woman tried several times and failed, it meant that she had to seek expertise attention from people who had that knowledge about why certain women could fail to get pregnant. Health-wise, the Baganda, without looking at the moon or knowing whether the new moon is up or not, they could just look at the activities of people with mental problems. And if their activities have increased and they are very dangerous at a certain point, the Baganda could just tell that this is a period of Amasumi. And therefore, the Baganda knew how to control people with mental problems during this period by controlling their movements until the period of Amasumi have passed. It's the same way with the people with the seizures, epilepsy. During this period, epilepsy is so common that people with the epilepsy knew how to control it by staying away or staying in certain places where they cannot get injured until the period of Amasumi have passed. Therefore, the Baganda have certain knowledge of the moon, and they can tell certain occurrences without looking at science. In some communities, members can tell, according to the moods exhibited by some people, that the moon is up. And wherever they see some signs that are not common with these people, they always ask, had the new moon appeared? Or bino ebiseera bya masumi. This means that the moon controls the moods of a number of people in some communities here in Africa. Like we said about humans getting pregnant during this period of Amasumi, even animals are controlled by the same. It's during this time that you will always find packs of dogs moving around in groups. You know what happens when dogs are on heat. And other animals, domestic or wild animals, are very active during this period. We are talking about Amasumi. So the period of the moon is very important in our native knowledge and our native science. Even the body movements here seem to be controlled by the presence of the moon, Amasumi. I remember my mother used to just look at the sky and look at the birds flying, and she would ask, had the moon appeared? By the presence of those birds. But also, those who eat white ants, those who correct them, know very well that during Amasumi is the period when white ants leave the ant hills, and they are corrected by people, and always there are so many birds waiting to eat them. The other issue that we have also to look at is weather. When a new moon is to appear, weather changes. There must be rain, however little it is. But also, it is always cloudy. But at times, when you are on the lake, and because the moon comes at different hours at night, even wind changes with the moon. And the fishermen, the rock fishermen, know that. When they were still using very small boats, by that time they would say, let's go home, because wind is coming. So you can tell wind by looking at the moon. The other issue that we can talk about the moon and our environment is the plants. Here in our places, Africa, we can tell that the moon is about to appear, or it appeared, though we haven't seen it, by looking at the plants. The plants flourish when the moon is appearing. Today, the moon appeared yesterday. I saw it yesterday, but I think it appeared the other day. But when I looked at the mangoes are flourishing. So the moon does not only control the activities of humans and animals, but it also controls the activities of plants. But someone may ask, is this still relevant today? I may say very few people have this knowledge these days. Things have changed. These days people can use science to foretell certain things that the natives here used to tell using the moon. But also, people living in areas where there is electricity rarely see the moon. The moon, there was a time when the moon was the source of light at night. But nowadays, because people use electricity, at times they don't even know when the moon has appeared, despite the fact that the other activities are still active in human and animals. But people can take months and months on without understanding if the moon is up or it isn't there at all. But it is also believed, finally, that this period of Amasumi, when a new moon comes on the horizon, or when a full moon is disappearing on the horizon, controls supernatural powers. People believe that supernatural beings appear during this period called Amasumi. But also, if you go to the Bible, you will find what is called epiphanies and ephemerals. Those are supernatural beings that the Bible talks about that appears with the moon. And this takes us as to why Muslims do certain activities according to the appearance of the moon, especially the time for fasting. That's how serious the moon and the native science of an African person with the moon was. This is Bambala Zabu Semakula on this platform, Zabu Moments, in this episode, Amazing Africa. Thank you very much for watching. See you again.